Everybody's always talking about coffee enemas. Coffee enemas, coffee enemas, coffee enemas. But coffee is not the only thing that you can give yourself an enema with. So if you have irritable bowel syndrome, like if your intestines are cramping, a lot of times people with irritable bowel or Crohn's, they eat something and it's like a switch. They get cramps, and trust me, those cramps are terrible. If you've ever had to go diarrhea really bad and there's no toilet in sight, you know when you're holding that, that's the kind of cramps. You get cramps and you're going to have to get to a toilet, usually pretty fast, or else it's going to be like a Picasso in your house or your underwear. So, irritable bowel, anything to do with your stomach, uh, chamomile. So, you do it the same way that you would with coffee. So, this one here, this is Nature Restore Organic Chamomile. Always use organic because organic means there's not going to be any chemicals. And your intestines, it absorbs everything so quickly. It goes right to your bloodstream. So a lot of people misuse their intestines. They do drugs with their butt. Hey man, you want to smoke a joint? They're not going to smoke a joint with their bum, but a lot of it goes way back to the Mayan. I remember we were studying about the Mayans, and I read about the coffee enema all the way back then, but they used to put hallucinogenics in their cans too, and the stuff they used to do back then. Anyway, so you do it the same way. You take your chamomile. This one, you can either do it in a pot like your coffee or in the pour over. I would just do the pour over because you're probably not going to do this all the time. And this Nature Restore, look at all the beautiful flowers in there. You can grow your own chamomile. It's actually pretty easy and it thrives. But Nature Restore, just look at that. That is just beautiful. So, as usual, you just boil some water. I usually let it get up to the green line. Of course, it's not the green line now. It's not a huge deal. It's the temp. And then you just pour it in. Get them nice and wet. That's why I like this kettle, because you can really, pinpoint where you're pouring the water and get them all wet so that everybody's adding to the party. Once everybody's wet, you can just go all in. Always, always, always make sure before you do your enemas, always make sure that your liquid that you're putting in your enema is cool enough that you don't hurt yourself. I mean, I shouldn't have to tell you that. It should be common sense. But it's not always. I was helping somebody with an enema once, and what I was doing was I was giving them step by step. I set everything up, and then through the door, told them, do this, do that, do this. And they skipped a step. They did not put any cold water into their coffee. And thank God they were having trouble. And so I came in and I was like, oh my God, this could have been terrible. So I fixed that. Just always make sure it's cool. Another thing, if you always have irritable intestines, cramping, you can just add the chamomile right in with your coffee. What do I mean by that? Take your chamomile, you can use fresh, put it in with your coffee, and Let it boil a little bit, just like you were making a coffee enema. So you're doing coffee,